Favoritism, insider dealing, and questionable decisions by local lawmakers, state legislators who get to award a full scholarship to Tulane University each year.
Well, tonight, in a special investigation with the New Orleans Advocate, Mike Perlstein found some scholarships going not to the most worthy or needy, but to the children of the powerful and connected.
Every year, all 144 members of the Louisiana legislature get to select a student for a full-year, $41,000 scholarship to Tulane University. It's a program designed to give high-achieving Louisiana students an exclusive opportunity for a Tulane education. But in a month-long investigation with our partners at the New Orleans Advocate, we went over the entire list of last year's recipients of the Tulane Legislative Scholarship. We talked to more than a dozen lawmakers. What we found was a program that many schools don't know about. We found there were no standards for selecting students. And we found that some legislators were picking the sons and daughters of friends, political allies, and campaign contributors. State Representative Helena Moreno of New Orleans gave her scholarship to the son of her campaign manager, Greg Buisson. We asked her if she considered this an ethical problem.
I thought, about that, but I also knew that this particular student's record could stand on its own, and that's why I have no problem talking to you about him and why I chose him, because he is that impressive that, I thought, because I know his father, should I disqualify him? I didn't think that was fair for him.
Moreno gave the scholarship to someone outside her district. She said it was because nobody from her area contacted her. That's also the response we got from State Representative Harold Ritchie. We questioned him about awarding his scholarship to the son of a powerful North Shore district attorney.
Like I said, I didn't have anybody that I knew of from Washington Parish.
But you didn't seek out people from Washington?
And maybe that's my fault, Not
even your own alma mater, Bogalusa High School?
I'm assuming that, the school system would have known of Tulane scholarships being available.
The school system said they had no idea.
Yeah, well, from now on, I'll make sure that they do.
Bogalusa High School did not know that its state rep, Ritchie, a proud alumnus, gives away a full-ride scholarship to Tulane to one worthy student each year. Neither did the other 4 high schools in Washington Parish.
So I'm shocked that something like this is available and we are not aware of it here at Bogalusa High School.
So who received Ritchie's $41,000 tuition gift? The son of St. Tammany Parish District Attorney Walter Reed. Not only does Reed live outside of Ritchie's district, the powerful DA has an income of at least $320,000 a year, according to state financial disclosure records. Reed would not go on camera for this story, but a spokesman said Reed's son was the only student who applied to Representative Ritchie last year. And furthermore, his resume would have been competitive in any group. In an impoverished parish like Washington, Bogalusa High School principal Leslie McKinley said several of his students would have jumped at the opportunity to apply if only they had heard about it.
Unless we are aware, we just don't know. So it's kind of shocking to know that it's out there, but we didn't get a chance to compete for it.
The scholarship is not posted on Ritchie's website. He has never contacted the schools in his district. The lawmaker said he simply relies on people contacting him.
Walter called me and told me about his son, and I told him that I had a scholarship that would be coming up.
Ritchie said he gave last year's award outside of his area because no district applicants called. But even within his district, he doesn't think it's unethical to award the scholarship to the children of other elected officials. And some people would look at that, giving a scholarship to a powerful district attorney as sort of a favor to a politician, to another elected official.
Well, the second girl that I gave the scholarship to, she was the daughter of a parish councilman here in Washington Parish. I don't see it as that. I'm looking at the student.
This whole process is legislative quicksand. It's ethical quicksand.
Rafael Goyeneche of the Metropolitan Crime Commission said campaign favors don't present the only problem with the program.
It's a bad deal for Louisiana. I don't think that part-time legislators should be in scholarship business.
Goyeneche said Richie's award to Walter Reed's son is a perfect example of the problems with the arrangement.
Something like that totally inappropriate. Shame on Walter Reed for putting himself first in line, particularly in Representative Richie's district, one of the more poor districts in this part of the state.
New Orleans Representative J.P. Morrell said he was fortunate. He rejected multiple requests from all over the state, but said he had a single stellar candidate from his district, a student who happens to be the daughter of a longtime family friend and political supporter, Daryl Cezanne. Records show that Cezanne made a $2,000 campaign contribution to Morrell, but Morrell is hardly alone. Our investigation found at least 25% of legislators received contributions from the families of scholarship recipients. Some gave $100 or $200. Some gave $2,500, the maximum allowed by law. Senator A.G. Crow of Slidell was among those who got the maximum. His contribution came from Richard Baume, Deputy Chief of the St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office. Baume and Crow each said there was no connection between the fundraiser check and the scholarship Crow awarded to Baume's son. Tulane says it provides a list up front to each legislator listing all the students accepted from Louisiana. But none of the legislators we talked to even mentioned such a list. They say they rely mostly on people who contacted them. And they admit that some of those people are friends, political supporters, or students suggested by other lawmakers.
New Orleans Mayor Sidney Bartholomew is raising a few eyebrows for awarding a scholarship to Tulane University to his own son.
Tulane said it tried 18 years ago to gain full control in naming recipients, but that reform was shot down. Tulane Vice President Yvette Jones said the school would gladly take the selection process out of the hands of lawmakers.
While it won't address every issue that you've brought up or every situation, I mean, it potentially could resolve some of them.
But until there are changes, Goyeneche sees problems.
They're making decisions based on who is contacting them, which has become an insiders club, potentially rife with abuses with connected individuals.
Mike Pearlstein, Eyewitness News.
Tomorrow morning, the New Orleans Advocate is breaking new details on our joint investigation. The Advocate traces how some legislative scholarships ended up being awarded to members of Tulane's baseball team. Again, you can read that Thursday morning in the New Orleans Advocate. Also, investigative reporters Mike Pearlstein and Gordon Russell will appear on the Eyewitness Morning News tomorrow. They will break down the investigation and show us what's next in this story. That's tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. Last night, we revealed that the children of powerful public officials and other connected insiders are being awarded full scholarships to Tulane University by state legislators. Our joint investigation with the New Orleans Advocate also revealed another class of recipients, Tulane baseball players. Mike Pearlstein reveals in this installment of our special Eyewitness investigation.
To receive one of the 144 full-ride Tulane scholarships given out each year by state legislators, a student must meet high academic standards. The criteria says nothing about athletic ability, yet the Tulane baseball team benefited last season from 7 players who were tapped by lawmakers for the $41,000 a year prize. That's 7 players out of 58 on the team getting legislative scholarships. Tulane is only allowed to award 11.7 athletic scholarships to baseball players under NCAA rules. State Representative Joseph Lapinto of Metairie has awarded his scholarships to 2 baseball players during his 6 years in office. Both times he asked Tulane specifically for a baseball player when he couldn't find any academic candidates in his district.
I've played baseball and softball over the years. I've contacted them and said, who do you have? Who's a senior that's going to be going, into the baseball team? And they provided me with a name in order for me to take care of that.
Lapinto's recipient last season was Brennan Middleton, a 4-year starter at middle infield who was just drafted into the pros by the Washington Nationals. State Senator Edwin Murray of New Orleans also gave his award to a baseball player, but his situation is different. He said he simply asked for a worthy candidate, and that candidate turned out to be David Napoli, a star pitcher also drafted by the Nationals. Tulane Vice President Yvette Jones said there was no manipulation by the university.
I would say that yeah, it is a coincidence. I mean, I don't think there's no relationship between it. I mean, they're not recruited athletes. They're Tulane students who make a decision to walk on the team.
Jones said the NCAA reviews all student athletes, and Tulane has never been flagged.
The NCAA reviews every student athlete, all the scholarships, and that's both the Tulane scholarship as well as any other form that comes. You know, there's scholarship that comes from outside the institution to support students, and there are no issues with the legislative scholarship being awarded.
But Raphael Goyeneche, president of the Metropolitan Crime Commission, questions whether legislators or boosters are beefing up the baseball team through this legislative gift.
If alumni or legislators are using this to give Tulane an additional competitive advantage for their athletic programs, you know, that shows you how these programs really are unworthy of being maintained.
In the end, whether anyone steered athletes to the scholarship program may never be known. As we revealed in our previous story, every lawmaker is left to his or her own methods in selecting homegrown Louisiana students. Mike Pearlstein, Eyewitness News.
At 6 o'clock, we will bring you some of the reaction to our joint investigation with the Advocate, including calls to revamp or completely eliminate the scholarship program. Our first joint investigation with the New Orleans Advocate last night revealed that connected insiders are getting Tulane scholarships awarded by state legislators. And now some officials say they are considering ways to reform or even abolish the 120-year-old program.
But red flags surrounding the perk are nothing new, as Eyewitness investigator Mike Pearlstein explains.
Tulane University says today that it went to Mayor Sidney Bartholomew 5 years ago and asked him to restructure that controversial scholarship program, but nothing was done.
In 1993, Eyewitness News broke the story that Mayor Sidney Bartholomew awarded his son a full-ride scholarship to Tulane University. The outcry led to a host of reforms covering the 5 scholarships granted annually to the mayor: a blue ribbon selection panel, consideration of financial need, restrictions against the children of officials. But for the 144 scholarships doled out by legislators each year, there are almost no guidelines or restrictions. As we exposed, that leads to free rides for the kids of elected officials, insiders, and campaign contributors.
People that are connected are the ones that get all of the breaks.
Sandra Slifer, president of the State League of Women Voters, said her group would like to see the program reformed immediately.
It cannot continue this way. You know, it just undermines people's faith in government.
The Metropolitan Crime Commission received complaints from the public months ago, complaints that helped launch our joint investigation with the New Orleans Advocate.
This whole process is something that legislators are not equipped to handle, and it's not in the public's best interests, and creates, I think, a fertile field for abuse and self-dealing.
Raphael Goyeneche, Crime Commission president, fired off this letter yesterday to state, House, and Senate leaders calling for changes. Even before our stories aired, some lawmakers were highly critical of the program. Senator Dan Clayton of Baton Rouge said he would like to see the arrangement abolished. One of the ethical pitfalls, Clayton said, is lack of guidelines. For one, legislators can receive campaign contributions from families who receive the $41,000 a year gift, something that our research shows happened at least 25% of the time last year. Representative Pat Connick of Marrero not only sees a problem accepting contributions, he returned one $500 check that he received.
And that gives the public a reason to cast a shadow over the whole entire process. And I don't want to have that.
State Representative Joe Lapinto of Metairie agrees.
I think it's incorrect. I wouldn't receive it. None have offered, but even if they had offered, I would have turned that back. It looks bad. It's just a reality. It doesn't pass the smell test.
On the whole, is this a good or bad thing for legislators to have?
Truthfully, it's a bad thing.
Mike Pearlstein, Eyewitness News.
And to read the full-length web stories on the legislative scholarship controversy developed with our partners at the New Orleans Advocate, just go to our website, WWLTV.com. A follow-up tonight to an eyewitness investigation with our partners over at the New Orleans Advocate. After exposing that Tulane legislative scholarships were being given to connected insiders, we tried to get a full accounting of all awards given to the children of elected officials. Mike Pearlstein went straight to the state capitol, and here's what he found.
New Orleans Mayor Sidney Bartholomew is raising a few eyebrows for awarding a scholarship to Tulane University to his own son.
20 years ago, the media revealed that the Tulane Legislative Scholarship Program was tangled in a web of the well-connected, with many children of government officials on the receiving end of the tuition-free perk. When we revisited the program earlier this month, we found that not much had changed. Insiders were still among the recipients, including the sons and daughters of public office holders. To get a bigger picture, we filed a public records request for this disclosure requirement, added when the legislature lost a legal battle 20 years ago to keep the information confidential. We first requested the forms from Tulane University, but they referred us to the state legislature. They even forwarded the forms to the legislature at our request, but when we took our request to Baton Rouge, we were denied.
And that was something that was confected to add accountability and transparency to this legislative process after the scandals of the mid-1990s. And what we're finding out is they had their fingers crossed.
Students who apply for the $43,000 scholarship also signed this waiver of confidentiality, but that didn't matter to Clerk of the House Alfred Speer, who denied our request on behalf of the lawmakers. Rafael Goyeneche of the Metropolitan Crime Commission said Speer also denied his request for the same information.
You don't need to be a legal scholar to realize that this isn't about the law or confidentiality. This is about protecting the interest of 144 legislators.
The result is a disclosure that doesn't have to be publicly disclosed.
And my question is, what are they trying to hide? Why not provide this information? This was supposed to be the solution to the problem of the 1990s.
Goyeneche said he believes that lawmakers are not only violating public records law, they're violating the public trust.
It's thumbing the nose at the public. And I think bringing further ridicule and embarrassment to an office that's supposed to be protecting and serving.
Mike Pearlstein, Eyewitness News.
And we are continuing to gather more information about this controversial program, so stay tuned for more developments. Also, to read more about this story, check out tomorrow's edition of The Advocate or the NewOrleansAdvocate.com. Now to an eyewitness follow-up on a joint investigation with our partners at the New Orleans Advocate. First, we exposed that Tulane legislative scholarships were being given to connected insiders. And late today, State Senator Dan Claytor from Baton Rouge confirmed that he'll propose legislation to scrap the program altogether. If his bid fails, he says he'll push for the scholarships to come with a requirement that recipients perform some form of a public service in Louisiana after graduation. Right now, each of the state's 144 lawmakers can award a one-year scholarship to Tulane. For more on this story, log on to theneworleansadvocate.com.